The Enabling and Assessing Learning assignment asks you to apply theories and principles of learning and assessment to improve your understanding of learner needs and also to plan effectively to meet those needs. And it has three main sections: understanding learning and assessment, learning and assessment in practice, and finally a references section where you'll list all of the sources that you've used in the writing of your assignment. So let's look at each of these in turn. In the first section, you'll concentrate on producing learner profiles for 2 different learners in a group that you teach. And these profiles should include a discussion of their aspirations and also to think about and write about what motivates them as learners and how these motivations relate to the course that they're taking currently and what rewards they hope to gain from that. Also, you'll give a brief description of the backgrounds of the 2 learners, perhaps touching on things like socio-cultural background, perhaps also their economic situation, whether they have any particular barriers to accessing education, their familial responsibilities. In short, anything that might affect the way in which they're able to access education and to learn. And that's the key focus of this. How do we get these 2 learners to go from a state of confusion over something to sudden realisation so that they're able to make progress with your subject? Also, tell us a little bit about their subject knowledge. What level are they currently at within the subject? And also, what levels are they at in terms of language literacy, numeracy, and ICT? And finally, do they have any special learning needs that you need to take account of? And that will complete your learner profiles. You then need to talk a little bit about what the received wisdom says about how you might best help these particular learners. And by that we mean learning theory and assessment theory. So what do they tell you about the different ways that people learn? What different types of assessment help in supporting and monitoring learning? And how can you apply learning and assessment theories that might help you to develop and extend your current approaches to enabling these 2 particular learners? And the sorts of theories that you might include here could be behaviourism, cognitivism, humanism. You might also include social learning, adult learning and andragogy. And assessment theories that are relevant could be formative, summative, norm and criterion referenced approaches to assessment and so on. And all of that together will come to 1,500 words, or approximately 1,500 words. In the second section then, learning and assessment in practice, you will need to produce a scheme of work for a group that includes the 2 learners that you've talked about in section 1. And this scheme of work needs to have clear aims and course outcomes and should cover at least 5 learning sessions. And from those 5, you'll choose one and provide a detailed lesson plan for that session, including, again, clearly expressed learning outcomes. You can also provide relevant high-quality learning resources for the session and make clear how you assess. And you also need to provide a critical discussion of that scheme of work, relating it very clearly to your 2 learners and to the learning and assessment theories that you've covered in the first section of your assignment. So there needs to be a clear link here, and that's the key thing about this assignment, that you're showing learning theory and assessment theory in practice. Now, in the final section, in your references, you need to show that you've used at least 4 texts, including 1 recent journal article that's been written since 2008, and 1 text that's specifically about assessment, and all of that needs to be properly referenced. And that completes the Enabling and Assessing Learning assignment. Do make sure that any files you produce for this assignment, you add to your IPDP using the Add Files button.